Yo, this is brother. This is my guide on Feral Tank in Cataclysm Classic. Um, I've been playing Bear since like TVC, and I've main tanked, I've off tanked, I've DPS on Feral um, at a decent level. And I play a lot of other tank classes too, so I think I have a good opinion. I actually play the spec, like I said, at a decent level. Here are some logs from ICC, Ring 4 World, Ring 3 TOGC, and then some logs from TBC. I think I have a good idea of what I'm talking about, so hopefully this guide will be better than the ones random people put out that don't play the class. So, yeah, let's get into it. So Bear is, I don't know, they're not going to be the best main tank in the game. That's just going to be Blood DK. Blood DK is just way too good at everything that a main tank needs to be. They have really good sustain, they have the best cooldowns in the game, and it's really hard to compete with that. So where does Feral fit in? Feral is the best off tank in my opinion. They're kind of like the monkey wrench of your raid. They can fit whatever you need, whenever you need it. If you need to be super chunky and super beefy, you can hop into that role pretty easily and fill those shoes pretty well. Yeah. They can also swap to like a DPS role very like efficiently. Like you just press a button and you're in cat form and you're doing competitive DPS. Not so much in phase one because of the way we have to gear, but you know, it fits into that off tank role the best, in my opinion. Let's go into some talent builds now. I have 3 different builds that I've made for you guys. This is like the boomer, like main tank, main character syndrome build that you're gonna run if you're main tanking like 10 mans and you need some raid debuffs. Yeah, you're gonna be picking up infected wounds to apply the attack speed debuff to mobs that you are hitting. It is only single target though, so you're gonna have to be tabbing and mauling and mangling every mob to apply that. This is like only take this if you don't have like a warrior, like an arms warrior or like a DK DPS of any kind. It's gonna be very rare. But yeah, we're going down here. We're picking up pulverize, of course. We've got the damage reduction talents in here. It's very important. And then we're going over in rest time. We're picking up master shapeshifter. Glyphs that we're going to be running in this build. If you are ever like tanking in Cataclysm, you're running these 3 glyphs like perma. These are locked in, and I want to say these are locked in too. Maybe you can take out Maul for something else on a single target fight. Berserk, it's just increasing our duration. Our best cooldown offensively. Lacerate, we're taking Glyph of Lacerate. It's just free crit damage on our Lacerate, why not? And then free mangle damage as well. Frenzied Regen, this is like an insanely sleeper ability in Kata. What Frenzied Regen does, it's gonna give you 30% max health, just like whenever you press it for 20 seconds. It's actually insane. It replaces survival instincts. So having the glyph, what does that do? That's gonna make us receive 30% more healing. Arguably, that's the best part about this cooldown. Very good. If you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage and you don't have a bark skin or an SI charge ready to use, you just pop this. You're still going to take the same amount of damage. You're going to have more health and you're going to get topped off quicker. Glyph of Maul, just like basically what it was in Wrath, except now it's 50% damage instead of 100. So Maul cleaves pretty much perma. And then there's not really another good major glyph, so we take Glyph of Rebirth. Just makes people getting resurrected get rezzed with all the resources, so they won't die instantly when they take it. I don't really know what else you would replace this with for like main tanking. Hopefully your main tank isn't having to be res. At least your feral main tank, if you have one. We have Challenging Roar down here. Just free 30-second CDR on Challenging Roar. Just take it. There's not much else down here. And we're taking Dash CDR as well. So we can move around quicker in between packs more frequently. And then we have Unburdened Rebirth. This is like hard required. You don't want to be that guy without reagents, so we just run this perma. And this is like the main character. I'm a 55-year-old boomer dad tanking a 10-man talent build. Here is like a more off-tanky type build. You'll see that we've picked up some DPS talents, and we've lost infected wounds, and we've dropped a point in natural reaction. The point of this build is to maximize our damage in cap form when we like aren't tanking, and there's going to be a lot of situations in Cata where you're not always going to be tanking like something 100% of the fight, right? And to be a good team player and a good raider, we're trying to maximize the windows where we're not tanking to do the most damage. So we're picking up Blood in the Water. It just makes our Ferocious Bite like actually an execute, sub 25% health. It's just refreshing the cooldown on Rip. Very good. We're picking up another point in Primal Madness to help out our Tiger's Fury. And yeah, that's about it for the off-tank build. We're still going to run the same glyphs. If you feel like you're going to be catting a lot more than you're bearing, then you can like probably get rid of like Lacerate and Mangle for like bloodletting to increase the duration of our Rip. And then we could take Rip as well to do more damage with our bleed, our main bleed. Could probably replace like Maul with, I don't know, man. Like Ferocious Bite, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of useless. Probably just leave Maul in, because if a lot of the times if you're like off tanking on an encounter, there's going to be multiple adds. You're going to want some additional cleave. So you probably want to leave this in. And then this is just like a cat build I threw together. I'm not the expert on cat. I play it at a decent level. I'm not really well versed in how it performs in Cata, so this is just something I threw together. I'm still taking talents in Thick Hide, so we don't get crit when we go into bear form. You can take this out if you are like full catting on a fight. You could put these in like Brutal Impact, so you can Ravage Weave more. And then you can put this into like Furor, I guess. I don't really know. Put it wherever you want. I just leave it in here. You could put it in here. Put it in here for all I care. You could put it in here too to reduce your spell damage taken. I don't like, it doesn't really matter. But you just want to be picking up like all the cat talents. If you're 100% catting on a fight, take this out, put it in that. Who cares? And then, like I said, if we're full catting, we're going to want Bloodletting, we're going to want Rip, and we're going to want Berserk. I left Barkskin in because I didn't notice that I had talents in Thick Hide. You could go Furor and then leave Barkskin in if you need to like taunt. You're kind of gambling though. You probably don't want to run this. You probably just like want to leave Maul in, or maybe like Feral Charge to get more Ravage Weaving in. Yeah, that's the cat build. Again, I'm not an expert on cat. I do feel comfortable with bear though. We're gonna be looking at stats now. Um, let's take a look at stats. Don't look at my gear. I made this in a rush before raid. But looking at stats, you guys probably want like a tier list or something. So we're gonna be doing that, I guess. Looking at stats, if we looking at stats, it's all based on what your raid needs and what the encounter calls for, right? So I just kind of have like a general stat priority list. For Feral, again, this is written in regards of an off tank, right? If you think that you're going to be main tanking more, you can increase your stam, you can increase your mastery. But yeah, let's get into it. So stam is our most important stat as a feral tank. The more stam we have, you know, the more hits we're gonna live, the more mechanics we're gonna live. Um, very very good. We get a lot of HP out of it. You want to stack it. And then going into agility. Agility is our like second. It's like our main DPS stat, and it gives a lot of survivability too. It gives us armor. I'm pretty sure in Kata, and it gives you dodge rating as well. Pretty sure. Um, you pretty much, as a rule of thumb, you just pick the highest eye level piece that you can with your main stat on it, and you just plug that in, and you just kind of gem and reforge to whatever you want. Um, that's just the best rule of thumb. So just try to get the highest eye level pieces you can with agility on it. They're gonna have stam on them as well. So yeah. Um, Going into like hidden expertise. Again, this kind of depends on what your raid needs, or what you need rather, for the encounter. If you're gonna be like, catting a lot, and if it's a fight that does like 0 damage, you can like pick more DPS stats. You could, gem and reforge to the melee hit cap, which is gonna be 8% for Kata. Um, Likewise, you can do the same for expertise. You can get up to like the 6.5% like dodge reduction um soft cap, and if you are going to be main tanking more, being in front of the mob, you're going to want more expertise, so you're not parrying. Nothing feels worse in this game than parrying. Um if you do not care at all about your DPS or like your threat or anything, I mean, you really shouldn't care about threat. Threat is like really easy in Kata. Just press your buttons. You don't really need these. Hit and expertise are kind of for DPS. If you don't care about those, you just kind of stack mastery after that. Mastery is going to give us our absorb shield whenever we crit. So having more of this makes our shield bigger. It's very good. It's kind of like the blood shield from BDK, but a little bit worse. Yeah, if you don't care about hidden expertise, you're going for mastery. After that, crit is nice. Crit is how we proc our mastery. But being a feral druid in World of Warcraft Classic, we're gonna have a ton of crit in and out of raid. So you don't gem this at all. You don't reforge it at all. You don't go for this. It's just on gear, and you have it, and you're happy with it. Haste is garbage. We don't want haste. We did want haste in Wrath in TBC because Maw worked like Heroic Strike. It doesn't now. It's like an actual ability. It's got its own cooldown, so haste doesn't affect it at all. So we don't really care about haste. Again, just to recap: big stam, big agi. If you're going to be off tanking and catting, we're going to be wanting more hidden expertise. If you don't care about that, you just go for mastery. Just, if you find that you're living a fight, and you're not taking a lot of damage, and you feel like you have a lot of extra health, you can trade for some stam for some hidden expertise. Maybe you get rid of some mastery to do that as well, if you're reforging. But yeah, that's going to be our stats for feral tank. Up next is the rotation. So for our rotation, It's honestly insanely easy. I'll pull this up again so you guys have something to look at. Um, the biggest thing, like I don't care what you're doing. Like as long as you're pressing buttons, you'll be fine. I don't care what you're doing. You need to be keeping up these debuffs on the kill targets. In Cataclysm. So you notice I have maintain fairy fire on prio targets. Why do I have that? You are the Sunderbot in this video game, this expac. Welcome to being the Sunderbot. Why are we the Sunderbot? Because of feral aggression. Fairy Fire applies 3 stacks of the armor reduction debuff in Kata. It only goes up to it only stacks like 3 times, and it goes up in 1 global. So instead of making your rogue spend combo points and energy on maintaining exposed armor or asking your warriors to, you know, sunder 1 global after their colossal smash or whatever it is, you just walk up in bear form and you hit fairy fire and you instantly have 12% armor reduction. So that's your job. In any situation, you want to be trying to get it up on as many targets as you can. If it's a sustained long 3 target cleave fight, in between your rotation, you're putting up fairy fire. If you're in an AoE situation, you want to put up fairy fire on the highest like HP mob. It's just really good to have armor reduction on those targets. So you always want to make sure you have fairy fire up. It's pretty easy to maintain. It's got a 5-minute duration. Yeah, that's fairy fire. And then Demo Roar, you want to be keeping this up if you don't have like somebody that's automatically keeping this debuff up. Demo Roar, where do I have it? Where do I have it bound on this character? I'll just find it. Demo Roar is just like the attack power reduction debuff type. Just makes them do less damage. You probably won't ever be pressing this button because you're always going to be running with a Blood Decay or like a Prop Paladin. If you're in a cursed raid with a like Prot Warrior and a Bear, one of you is going to have to press this button. Maybe you just do it so you have more uptime on it. But just makes them do less physical damage to you for X amount of time. If you're doing dungeons, you can keep this up on like hard-hitting trash packs or hard-hitting bosses. But you just want to, you know, maintain this the best you can. That's enough for debuffs for Bear. Getting into like the actual single target rotation. I'm not like 100% set on this, but it's subject to change in the future based on what I find is good or whatever the sim says whenever it's out. But you just want to like manage your rage well and press your buttons when they come off cooldown, right? So we want to mangle on CD. It's like our bloodthirst. It's our main cooldown. It's our main button. You want to press this on cooldown as much as you can on single target. After that, you want to be pulverizing when at 3 lacerate stacks. The reason we're doing that is because of the tooltip. It gives us some crit based on the lacerate application. So if we have 3 lacerates, we're getting we're going to be getting like 9% crit for 10 seconds. And if we're talented into Endless Carnage, I don't know why I'm not in this build, but in the builds that I showed earlier, we're talented into this. It's going to be 8 seconds extra, so 18 seconds of a crit buff. You're going to be keeping that up pretty much perma on single target. After we pulverize with 3 lacerate stacks, we're going to be rebuilding it. As long as you get like 3 stacks of lacerate up before your pulverize buff runs out, you'll be fine. In between that, we can fill the GCD with Thrash. And then you want to be mauling when you're near 50-ish rage. If you know you're going to be generating a lot of rage, then you can do it earlier. But that's our single target rotation. When we have Berserk up, our main cooldown, we're going to be having a lot more mangles. Like, we basically have, like, no cooldown on our mangle, and it hits 3 different targets. So, it's, like, paramount that while you're berserking, you're literally just holding down mangle the whole entire duration. And it's going to be a long duration because we have it glyphed. This is your burst window. You want to be popping like your gloves and your combat pot during your berserk. You're going to want to like lining it up with your ICDs as well if you're running DPS trinkets. Just hit berserk and hit mangle. You'll be good to go. You're going to be generating a lot of rage too, so make sure you're mauling during that as well. I guess I'll give you like a little demonstration of like the rotation if you want. Pre-pull, you can like heal yourself if you want, if you're like really scared or like if you're bored. And then like 2 to 3 seconds before the pull timer, you can thorns yourself. You can go into bear form. You'll have rage from your talent, and you're gonna want to throw charge in. And I'm parrying. I hate this video game, but you want to mangle. And you want to keep up fairy fire, and yeah, that's like pretty much the rotation. I didn't pulverize, but it honestly doesn't matter. You're going to be want to be berserking on pull anyway, just for like tons of snap threat. And I got berserk up, so what am I doing? I'm literally just pressing mangle. And then outside of berserk, you're stacking lacerate stacks. And pulverizing when you're at 3 to get the pulverize buff. That's pretty much it. It's insanely easy. You're hitting like 4 buttons. Looking at the AoE rotation, Thrash is like #1 prio. You're trying to keep this up. Keep it off cooldown, or on cooldown as much as you can. It's going to be like your biggest like damage on AoE. When we're not threshing, we're pressing swipe. Swipe has a longer cooldown now. It's not just like the only button you press on AoE. So in between thrashes and swipes, or excuse me, in between thrashes, you're pressing swipe, and there's going to be a little bit of a buffer between thrash and swipe. You can fill that with a mangle or a fairy fire. If we're using our berserk on AoE, you just literally spam mangle. It's going to do a ton of damage. It's going to be cleaving, as you saw earlier. And if we have a lot of rage, we can dump it with all as well. In AoE, again, if it's like a hard-hitting trash pack, you can keep up Demo Roar if your BDK isn't applying Scarlet Fever. I didn't really explain that earlier, but this is going to be... Scarlet Fever is going to be like the primary like AP reduction debuff. In Cata, you're pretty much always going to have a Blood DK with you in a 25-man raid. So it applies pretty effortlessly. All they do is like Outbreak and then like spread their diseases with Pestilence. And if Blood Plague is on a target, Scarlet Fever is on there too, and that covers that debuff for you. If you're off in a corner by yourself, like thrashing or swiping a bunch of mobs, you can Demo Roar them to be safe. But yeah, that is going to be your rotation. Pretty much just mangle. Build lacerate stacks on single target. Make sure you have a pulverize crit buff running. And then fill with thrash, dump rage, keep up fairy fire, keep up Demo Roar if you don't have a blood DK or prop pally. And then AoE, you just thrash and swipe. That's pretty much it. Cooldowns. Bear doesn't have a ton of cooldowns, you'll notice, but they're pretty decent. Berserk is our offensive cooldown. I talked about it earlier. It gives you 3 target mangle. You just spam mangle. And yeah. Enrage is our 1-minute cooldown. It also increases our damage. I didn't put that here because I wrote this last night at like 5 a.m. after a 16-hour stream. But this is our 1-minute cooldown. You want to use it on cooldown, and preferably use it when you have like AP procs, or trinket procs, or like a combat pot, or use it with lust. Just a good rule of thumb, use your DPS cooldowns with other cooldowns. They'll do more damage. I macro my gloves with Enrage because they're both 1 minutes. and it's one less thing for me to worry about. Enrage is good. And then you're gonna want to be troll in Kata. Torn like just isn't necessary. I cannot think of a single fight where you need like the X% base health. And I'm pretty sure the base health from the Tauren doesn't give you extra vengeance. So before you say anything in the comments, I like just be troll. It doesn't make sense to be Tauren. You don't need War Stomp. You don't need Herbalism skill. Be troll. It gives you 20% attack speed whenever you want. On a 3-minute cooldown. This is really, really good for damage. And Kata is when tanks start, doing damage because of vengeance. And then gloves, it's our engineering cooldown. It's called Synapse Spring, just 480 main stat on a 1-minute cooldown. Lasts for 10 seconds. Really good. Use this with Enrage. Use this with your Berserk window. Use it with Lust. Use it with Combat Pot. For defensives, Survival Instinct is our big shield wall cooldown. It gives us 50% damage reduction for 12 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Before in Wrath, it was just our last stand type ability. Now it's an actual cooldown. So use this for heavy tank busters. Or if like a healer goes down or something very good, you want to be pressing this button. Bark Skin, it's the same button it's always been. Just, Old Faithful, 20% DR, 12 seconds, 1-minute cooldown. You can use it while CC'd. In the majority of CCs, rather. Just press this button, like as often as you can. And then Frenzied Regeneration is an actual defensive now. Like I said earlier, it's like our last stand type cooldown. And when glyphed, you're always going to have it glyphed because our majors suck. You get 30% healing increased. So think Guardian Spirit. What else we got? Professions. If you are playing any class in Cataclysm, you're playing engineering. I think. I don't really know about healers. I don't really care. But if you're playing any class that does damage, you're playing engineering. Why are you playing engineering? Because of the Synapse Spring and because of Nitro Boots. So again, here's your glove cooldown. It gives you primary stat for 10 seconds, 480 of it. Is it insanely good? I just stop coping. Don't have gathering professions. Get rid of like your alchemy or whatever, and get engineering. This has a chance to fail a lot more in Kata. Rarely is not rarely. I've had it happen to me a lot in ICC, but there's not really like another belt enchant, and having like an X% chance to increase your movement speed dramatically is going to be like invaluable for raids. Being able to get to a mob like pretty much instantly, being able to move out of a mechanic, moving through trash quicker. It's just really, really good. You really want nitro boosts rather. They're not boots anymore. They go on your belt. And yeah, engineering is a must. You need it. You need it. You need it. You need it. Again, nitro boosts. Excuse me. Wrathbrained have a 3-minute cooldown, and it's only 400 NG requirement. So like, what's my other profession, brother? Well, I'm glad you asked. You can pick like literally whatever you want, as long as you just have a second profession. They just give you extra stats, so having literally anything is better than nothing. I would recommend playing either blacksmithing or jewel crafting because of the flexibility that they offer. Most professions can give you stam or attack power, but blacksmithing and jewel crafting lets you customize your stats to what you need. And I'm pretty sure blacksmithing is just like the best profession, hands down. Some nerd in the comments is gonna correct me, but I see blacksmithing being really good. They give you 2 extra sockets. Jewel crafting is going to be good too. I think it's less valuable in Kata than it was in Wrath. Because of like gems or something, or the way they work. I don't know, I'm not a nerd. But blacksmithing and jewel crafting are gonna let you put agility in those gem sockets, or have a bigger agility gem. So that's why I put them higher above enchanting, leatherworking, inscription, and like alchemy, mining, skinning, whatever. If you're not blacksmithing and jewel crafting, I'd recommend going enchanting, leatherworking, or inscription. They still give you big bonuses to AP enchants or stam enchants. You're just not going to have agility. It's just going to be flat attack power. And that's okay. I'm enchanting on one of my bears, and I'm not really going to change it. It's going to be like a G-bid clone. So enchanting is fine, leatherworking's fine, inscription's fine. If you're like a role player or whatever, or you like really like crutch on your druid to be your farm bot, being mining and skinning and herbing like isn't terrible. Mining will give you stam. I'm pretty sure skinning will give you crit, so you'll be proccing your mastery more. But just be engineering and one of these 5 professions. Alchemy is kind of decent because it helps with like the prebis grind. You'll get a trinket that I'll show later. So alchemy isn't horrible, and I'm pretty sure you get bonuses to like flasks or increased duration. I don't really know how it works in Kata. Enchants and gems. For enchants, there's 2 routes you can go. You can either put a bunch of stam on your gear if you're always going to be main tanking, or if you don't care about your damage. If you do care about your damage, or you're going to be filling that off tank role, where you're going to be catting a lot more and not having a lot of tank up time, you can go agility. So looking at these enchants, the agility one is going to be 60 agility, 35 haste. If you want stam, you get 90 stam or 35 dodge. Where do these come from? I'll just put this over here. The stam one comes from Earthen Ring Revered. This is bound to account. So you can meld this between your characters. You want to get revered with Earthen Ring. And then the AP enchant is, excuse me, not AP. The agility enchant comes from the Tolvir people, I'm pretty sure. So you want to get revered with them. That's your AP equivalent enchant. For shoulders, same thing. You could either go the agility route or the stam route. Looking at the stam one, it comes from Therazane, Exalted. So you want to get Exalted with these guys to get your stam enchant. The AP one is going to come from Therazane as well. Gives you Agi and Mastery. Not bad. Our back enchant, I'm just going to like... That's the wrong one. I'm just going to like blanketly recommend getting the... Am I bald? I think I'm bald. We'll come back to this. For chest enchant, you can either go 20 all stat or 75 stam, depending on what you want. I'm gonna run all stat because you get 20 stam, you're gonna get 20 agi, and you're gonna get 20 strength, so that's a lot of attack power. Very good. Looking at bracers, there's a few routes you can go. I'm just gonna recommend you put stam on here. If you don't want stam, then you can put agility on your bracers. It's either 40 stam, 50 agi, or expertise if you're down bad. Depending on the situation, that might sim higher for you. Just, I don't know, probably go stam here. And your hands, you're just going synapse spring again. For belt, you're going nitro boosts. There's no exception. Play engineering. If you don't, you're a bum. Looking at legs, I'm gonna lean towards recommending the stam and agi. You're still getting some agility with this enchant. This is actually the only leg enchant with agility, so it's very good. If you're like a cat main and like you have to off tank one fight, you can just leave this on. I think it'll be fine. But I would just recommend playing with the stam one with the agi bonus instead of the flat AP and 55 crit. Looking at boots, this spot is now freed up because nitro boosts go on your belt now. Few different options you can go. You could either go 35 agility. If you're down bad for hit, you can get some hit if you want. Or if you're like a bear main and you're never in cat form ever, you're gonna want to run the 25 agi plus move speed enchant. I think that's like called Assassin's something. Why is this showing? Where is this? Assassin step. Here we go. I hate the way they sort this. Yeah, 25 agi and move speed. Move speed's great. But if you're gonna be catting or like off tanking, then you're gonna be running 35 agi or 50 hit, depending on what you need. But if you're like the bear main character, I'm tanking keep me up guy, you're gonna be wanting to run this for the move speed. And then the ring enchants you can only get if you're enchanting. So if you're enchanting, you can get like either stam or I don't know why I clicked that off. Or oh wait a minute, it is actually agility. Okay, I stand corrected. You can move up enchanting over here then. I thought it was just flat AP like it was in Wrath. I stand corrected. But yeah. For our weapon enchant, we're running Mighty Agility. It's just like Giga Agility. It's like baseline, like insanely good. You're just gonna be running this. I'm pretty sure Landslide is like less average attack power. You're probably not gonna be running Landslide. Also, it's gonna be really expensive. So I wouldn't recommend this. Main stat is King, and I'm pretty sure it's more average attack power over the course of a fight. Yeah. For gems, I'm not like 100% set on stone on this. Much like enchants, gem what you need, right? If you're gonna be the bear main tank character, if you want to be a beefy boy, you're just throwing like all stam in there, right? If you're gonna be the off tank, you're gonna be wanting more DPS stats and more agility. Mastery gemming is fine, and like the yellow sockets, an agi mastery type beat, that'd be good. For our meta gem, I'm just gonna recommend the agi crit damage amp one. And find where I put that. Get that out for y'all. It's gonna be the Agile Shadow Spirit Diamond one. It's just main stat and like 3% crit dam amp. It's really good. You're probably gonna have red gems in anyway because we're gemming agility in most of our slots. I left this set blank. You can fill this in with stam, mastery, hit, expertise gems as you see fit. I also left the reforging, the reforging pretty open. You can reforge to whatever you want. If you want more expertise, if you want more hit, you can do that. I'm at like 7% in this like prebis set. You can go up to 8% if you want. You can reforge more expertise if you want. But yeah, as long as you're not gymming like haste or like strength or like, I don't know, like dodge rating, you'll be fine. On the topic of dodge, I didn't really cover it earlier, but I see some people recommending dodge. I don't think you need it. You're gonna have like a lot of dodge anyway. In this like 359 set that I'm in, How much dodge rating do I have, like, out of raid? It's in here somewhere. Like, 30%? Like, I don't know, man. Gymming more dodge doesn't really make sense to me. I just wouldn't. I don't know, man. You're gonna have so much dodge in it. You're playing a bear. Like, don't gym dodge, in my opinion. This is coming from the opinion of someone who favors playing, like, more aggressively. So if you feel like you need it, you know, you can go for it. But, yeah, anyway, just a general recommendation. If you're, like, progging, I would lean towards heavy stam and, like, mastery hybrids so that you're tankier. And then for farm, you can throw more DPS-oriented gyms in, hit, expertise, agi, all of that. But yeah, for reds, just like agis. For blues, you can do stam or hit if you need it. And then yellows are going to be mastery. If you gym crit on a bear, I think you're probably trolling. And then let's get into some utility. What does the bear bring to the raid? Stampeding Roar is probably the best thing, besides like a battle res, that the bear brings. It's on a 2-minute cooldown. It increases your movement speed. It's really, really, really helpful for when you need to get to point B from point A. And it gives it to like everyone around you. It does have a radius, so you want to make sure that people are near you when you press it, but having group movement speed on everyone is very nice, and it's going to be on a 2-minute cooldown. It does cost rage and energy though, so make sure you have those resources pulled before you press them. Yeah, Stampeding Roar is insane. It's very, very good. You want to be, you know, coordinating when you're using this for certain mechanics, or just spamming it on trash to get to the next boss faster. Innervate, it kind of sucks on Feral. I didn't have to use this really at all on my healers. They'd never really whispered me for it like they do in Wrath. But, you know, it gives a little bit of mana. If your healers are desperate for mana, they could call for it. You can give it to them. It's got a 3-minute cooldown. Trank, it also kind of falls into the same vein of Innervate. It doesn't heal that much. I think on one pull of our Senate Council, don't look at all these wipes. I'll try to find it for you. It did like maybe 100k healing. Yeah. And I think that's like a full channel as well. So if your like raid is down bad for extra healing, you can pop out when you're not tanking and rip a fat trank. But otherwise, I doubt your raid is going to really plan on you like needing this to kill a boss. This is like a panic button, everyone's going down, I'm not tanking, I can do something about this type button, but it might not save anyone. And then Feral gets like a kick finally, and Kata. It took Blizzard 3 expacs to give us like a decent kick. It does have a travel time. It is also a charge, so if you've already used your Feral charge, then you can Skull Bash to the next target, but you won't have an interrupt. And most of the builds I recommended as well, we're not really taking Brutal Impact, so we're not getting the cooldown reduction from that. So just plan on having a 1-minute kick. Everyone else in Kata has really good interrupts, so I wouldn't plan on your raid absolutely needing your Skull Bash on like a really short, like 10-second cooldown. So yeah. And then utility as well. Demo Roar, we've went over this like 5 times. And then Fairy Fire, that's like the most important thing that you're there for. You are the Sunderbot. You are in the raid to press Fairy Fire on priority targets, so make sure that's up at all times. I think that just about covers it. Again, we've went over talents, stats, rotation, our DPS and defensive cooldowns, our professions, some enchants, some gem recommendations, utility. Here's just like a prebis set that I threw together. It's pretty much just like 346 eye level pieces. You can regem it as you see fit. You can re-enchant it as you see fit. You'll notice I've left a lot of things blank. It's pretty much just like the highest eye level agi pieces I could find from heroics and justice points and reputation. And yeah, you'll notice I have this in here. I don't think you'll really need 2 stam trinkets for like a lot of normal mode stuff. And if you're going to be doing heroic mode prog, you can go for Leaden Despair. Drops from the Stone Core. Just a nice stam trinket. It's got a proc that'll get you some armor. It's like okay, but if you really need extra stam, you can wear that. And then like Reforge for more expertise. You can go into 60 upgrades if you want and see what other pieces are nice, but I pretty much just picked pieces with high agi that were easy to get. Easy being grind heroics all day long on launch week. Looking at our stats here, like ungemmed and unreforged, we're looking at like this also doesn't have raid buffs, so you're going to be looking at almost 110k HP. It's going to be more than that with gems. We're at like 27 baseline expertise, almost 8% hit. We've got like really low crit though. It does kind of suck moving from end of game ICC into like a new expac where our stat weights are not as hefty as they once were. So just get used to having, you know, low stats and how that plays out. But that's about it. We can look at like some vis sets I've been putting together. This is much like this whole entire video. Everything's subject to change. You're going to be wanting your 4-piece, not just for the SI increased duration, but for, you know, the, I mean, that 4 sets kind of sucks. Whatever, man. Just, you know, get 372 pieces. Go for high agi. Don't really look at these gems. Yeah, that's about it. If you liked what you saw, then leave a like. This is my first attempt at making a guide. I've noticed that like a lot of people who don't really play half the specs that they're making guides for, so I figured I'd take a crack at it. If you liked what you saw, then leave a like. I'll leave a link to my Discord down in there. I'll put some resources in there for bear tanking and some other classes. My Twitch is in the description below. I'm live pretty much every day. You're like 8 p.m. Eastern, and during Cata, I'll be live pretty much every day, all day, leveling my tunes. Thank you so much for clicking on this. And if you want to ask me questions, I'll respond to them in the comments. You can reach out to me on Discord as well. Just brother, all lowercases. Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you. Good day.